Alexic is inserted in A main, but you can already see him dropping back from wine. A little more safety as this time should expire, with KC not looking to put any intention into this one. I think Zero Tenacity will be happy to chase out these last couple of players, see if they can remove some weapons, as there are barely any credits there, and that's going to be the first of them from MSH. It's a double for his troubles. A flawless finish to the 5th. Very comfortable stuff from Zero Tenacity.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worry. Again, I see worrying quite a lot here because, I mean, I don't know. There's warning signs for me, and I'm glad that we're going to get the KC Blue Stars timeout from Paco, because they are being unsettled, they're being read by Zero Tenacity, and I think for the most part that they just haven't got a grasp on what the game plan is for the defence.
Always going to be played at a slightly slower tone as you see Fanga go down there. Someone who I do just want to highlight in this timeout, Paco will be having words, just trying to carve out some openers, because this is a player who was part of the trash can side, which was the surprise package of East last year. That's why I speak about this familiarity with the Diamant contention of Zero Tenacity, because it was pretty Grumek and Paco that put them out last time around. And yeah, he's been such a promising player so far in the French league. You were speaking about, what direction do these academy projects go in? You look at Koi Phoenix in contrast, and I think they've sort of rehomed a few talents that were maybe a little more well-known in challengers, whereas you look at the list of names here that they've spent their time in regions across the board. Someone like Ease, even back-to-back winners in Spain a couple years ago, but a lot of promise to be tapped into, just not quite tested at this level yet.
Yeah, and I think they've got the perfect coach to do so. Alexic here needs to be careful to try and not get caught out. Sees the first player, should know there's more. Gets the wall bang.
I was about to say, up against Sheriffs, you don't want to hang around on common angles all too often, but that shot through the corner of the wall will sit sweet for him. Now spotted by Ease as the Yoru's repositioned. It's one of the issues playing against this agent. He can be literally anywhere on the map at any point in time. And with Yoppa already down, that's your main form of reconnaissance gone. They are walking blind into MSH again. This is going to be 6 as we expected, Cairo, but in terms of what KC have taken away from this round, I don't think there's all too much information they can go off.
No, and again, this is what we were asking about, in terms of win conditions to try and break down this defence. They've not found any, right? For me, I would have really loved for them to poke into the extremities. They did it once before, I say extremities, sorry, in towards the middle of the map, the alternative routes in towards site, whether that be market, whether that be towards tree, and instead they're continuing to fight these mains where the Zero Tenacity just have a clear and total monopoly upon.
We did see KC Blue Stars get themselves into post a couple of times, and that did come through mid control, but into the next of the investments for both teams, it's Zero Tenacity trying to make this space their own. The renewed confidence of Alexic has sent him as the driving force behind this defense all the way up mid, dealt with by Yoppa, and that's a big opening kill, something which KC have been without in a lot of these rounds.
Yeah, and I think that's a massive point to make as well. Fanga is taking all the space for KC, but it does go back towards Prey, so 4v4. This is looking like it's going to be pretty quick back in from Zero Tenacity.
Yeah, Spike interrupted by those shocks, and with the hat off the head is the info. Zero Tenacity dropping in, Yoppa fighting but going down. And now a 1 versus 1 with Soren locked out in main. Spike on the site and Pretty right beside it. Playing from Dice. Has the turret like you say, but Pretty's just going to take the fight head on. And yet again, it's another Zero Tenacity player winning out a 1 versus 1. The most clutches of any team from their own region. And Pretty once again the captain that leads them forward.
I mean, it's the first time that we've seen that first entry pick being used to great value from KC Blue Stars. It ends up scrappy in the site. I don't think we can really be be too harsh on either player, right? Because like at the end of the day, someone's got to come out on top on the scrap. But in a 1 versus 1, when you need it most, KC Blue Stars miss the mark.
And in terms of some of these early salvos, it does look like it's just been to take a player off the line. They don't have the combo utility behind it, like the net. As Electric is already elsewhere, it's the dimensional drift to go first in this train of players. He'll let off an early shot and fall back to a deeper line of cover.
As for the rest of the team, you've got to be... I thought we were going to get the Omen TP coming through instead. No, look at MSH. Oh. Stranded on site. Spike can go down. KC Blue Stars finally have an advantage to work with in post.
There was a bit of a disconnect there, Cairo, because you saw the TP out from Electric. It left MSH all by himself. Now back into this retake. Zero Tenacity lacking the main space. Still, you've got Pyro looking around mid. Time is ticking down, and there are ults to save this. Soren could win the round with the lockdown.
That's massive. On top of that, further stall. So
much.
Able to get pretty gone, right? There's so much to do here for Zero Tenacity. That's good back in, and surely not, right? There's not enough time to get this done. In fact, there possibly could be. You hear the ticks going away and they're not too fast just yet. You're looking at the tail at the back of sight, trying to play upset, but still the spike not being worked on. This is just going to be damage towards the rifles that KC have in pocket. That economy going to feel a little bit, but finally the French side have their first round.
KC getting on the board here is the most important takeaway. The stall was really nice. I think Pretty believed he had a gap, but not safe from the situation. And even just having Yoppa in main there as well for support, making life difficult. It's yet another situation though where they found that opening pick, got themselves site control, and it came at only the cost of a single ultimate. Ooh. Oh. The sole silver lining is that was the Hunter's Fury invested, so Soren does still have the lockdown to work with. Grumek dropping back, dink through the wall, damage relayed back to KC as they're looking to finish on A here, end with a split, but one of those ends to the push has already been cut off, and now they can smell blood in the water. They can see that the short side's weaker. Pretty apparently can spot them through the smoke. This one's gone up in, well, yeah, in smoke. I don't know how else to say it. In flames, even.
I mean, I really like to play the main trap play, to be honest. Has the fact that like you've got players backed up left there to back up like the shots off the Hunter's Fury, because at the same point, East thinks he's comfortable, he's safe, he's got nothing really coming off the back, and the steps maybe disguised by the ultimate. I think this is just going to be orbs in the
time. No, there is time. If Fanga can get over to site here, absolutely, yeah, TPs, low HP on a couple of those players, so works the situation out for himself, and Alexic's going to run straight in, trying to challenge the Yoru head on. MSH finally coupling for support, but this is a chance to pull off the 1v5. Ace clutch denied by MSH at the end. Warning signs for Zero Tenacity, but that will be number 8.
Yeah, do you know what? Fair enough, mate. Completely fair enough. And I think that just shows you the individual qualities that like Fanga has. Yeah. This little play here is lovely just to back up. Well, this is what I was talking about when I thought I was ending out the round, but apparently not so. Insane triple right here. I was like, oh, there's not enough time. The timer's red. Not the case at all.
And to bring that back to what you were saying too, I think KC have looked, on the whole, a little too individualistic when you're talking about players coming late through mid, it looking scrappy in terms of the spacing, Soren feeling like he has to take that duel early. Up against the eco, well, he's going to win it this time. That's Electric off the board. Phantom in the hands of Fanga. How much further can they take this?
That's the question. The fact that there's a rifle back in hand, and again we speak about advantages and getting entry picks. KC Blue Star being gifted that one there, right? Going to use the lockdown to buy themselves some space, but still need to be careful traversing onto the site because players can hold on from CT and from Market, and those smokes are gone.
Yeah, there are no smokes at all, so it's just the paranoia across, and Zero Tenacity have stopped the Blue Stars at the gate this time. He's just managed to slip the net just a little bit, but again, it doesn't feel like there's all too much that he can do with this. The defenders are just so well oiled. This Zero Tenacity machine making manifest of the situation. Soren able to get away with the spike, so at the very least you're looking at another plant, but I don't think we're going to see the clutch pulled off here. It's spike another planted. Ace required.
And also noted by the camera as well, so Pretty will be happily enough to go and finish that one out. It's so unfortunate that KC Blue Star, they just get themselves like tripping over their own feet, right? Using a lockdown to try and clear out the B side, no smokes to try and get across, so it's easy enough for a crossfire between CT and Market on towards Spain. It's not a bad idea. I just think like they're not dotting their I's and crossing their T's. Sorry, I keep using that that sentence, right? But it feels like they're watching the flying coups sometimes.
I completely agree. And even on that round, Soren investing the lockdown, which was held so tightly onto in previous situations, that they are only one off of both Severe and Fanga's ults, so you know, a point here and there could make all the difference. We haven't seen that combination between the Teho and the Yoru just yet.
Oh, I like that. Trying to make sure to destroy the clone to make sure it doesn't trigger the sonic sensor.
Portal closed.
Nice bit of micro from Zero Tenacity. Just happy to throw yet another ult into the pot, as the difference between winning this round, getting double digits, potentially 11, and KC having some kind of a platform when this is a very defender-sided composition, could be everything. Electric bailing, op detected, Spike still heading in the A direction, but you can tell that the intended target will be the B site for KC.
Yeah, there's players slowly making their way through main. This dimensional drift looking to clear everything out, and well, two players on the site have been noted. MSH though, a little pocket to work with, but easily cleared out by Soren.
Again left alone to his own devices as the B site crumbles. You've got Pyro on a very quick flank, smokes off the Killjoy turret, and is going to be making a reprisal from main. The question is, how long does Zero Tenacity wait as that utility is recovered? Their hand's been forced.
Yeah, it has. They have to try and get out and fight in a dimensional drift as well from the defence. And is this just invested? Is it folly at the end of the day? It looks like it could be the case. Electric's op has to try and re-clear key space. It's going to be very difficult for Zero Tenacity.
Maybe even just looking to lock in those final three players here as time is evading Zero Tenacity. They know KC aren't exactly built of money, and that stuff doesn't grow on trees. Pyro for exits, only the one. And so a second round on the board for KC Blue Stars. And while it doesn't feel like all too much right now, the difference between that second and third round, Cairo, is absolutely everything against Z10 here.
It does look like it could be giving them a lifeline, right? 9-3, 10-2. It feels like a world apart, a chasm. And as you've already highlighted, Zero Tenacity on the attack. We don't know what it's like, right? We don't know what this double sentinel composition will look like, especially with this team who historically I've always seen struggle on the attack from time to time.
We can cross that bridge when we get to it. We have plenty of utility to hold on to those sites, so yeah, it's a question of getting in. And KC have been a lot better at that in the last couple. It's MSH's site which they'll test yet again, but this time he has support. Boots on the ground. Electric is here, and so is Pretty. Droning towards main, where it's only Soren inserted right now. As the bolt won't clear him, Electric will. That's a huge opening pick.
At the same time, players walking through, they've been noted. Don't want anything to do with this fight. Doesn't feel advantageous. Alexic, on the other hand, decides to stick a dagger in from the side. So, two more players. So it's 2 players advantage. And look at KC Blue Stars. They're just outside the B main here.
Yeah, recommitting, following through on that B play after Zero Tenacity have this brilliant multi-layered mid-reclear. As the round continues onwards, it's the last 30 seconds and that spike looks no closer to the site itself. MSH hanging on, Yoppa estranged from his teammate, buried on B. And with double digits under their belt, Zero Tenacity far in front outside of the first half.
One enemy remaining. Flawless.
EMEA yesterday, Zero Tenacity out the back of their debut go into their own map pick of Ascent against the final of the academy teams to show themselves on the EMEA stage and find themselves up 10 rounds to 2. Have to remind you all that in this veto, Sunset and Icebox yet to be shown by the French second seed so far this stage. We are very much heading into unknown waters, so to steer the ship back in their direction would be great on the pistol, and it looked like that's what we were going to get, but Zero Tenacity have responded with 2 kills of their own in the mid-duel.
Yeah, I think for me, this veto looked good for KC. Haven't lost Ascent going into Icebox and Sunset, not showing anything, and already it looks like it's been a disaster. Remember, KC picked the attack side first because this is Zero Tenacity's choice. Will be an open B site, and this is not a position you want to be on if you're in the defence, because if you allow a proper post plant for the attack, when they have double sentinel, they'll have everything they want, all the utility they could possibly want, and it'll be very difficult to get back into site.
In saying that, we've seen the mesh go towards market. Grimek has the net, and that is about it, actually. KC, on the other hand, you have a paranoia, you have the salvos. There are ways to make this work, but I think the issue on my mind right now is it's a complete retake from main, and with a couple players removing that net one at a time, the penny has dropped. Zero Tenacity are so well prepared for this.
Yeah. Crossfire set up, utility to go, and that's a kill from the salvos. As the players start to come through, oh no, this is getting worried. A 2 versus 1 for Pyro to try and clutch up, which he can. And it just falls apart. It's like a house of cards.
I don't know what was going on there, man. The map flipped. The cartographer gave the table a spin, yet somehow KC made to play attackers, picking up only 2 rounds from that half melee had, have done a pretty damn good job at assaulting the site, winning the retake, and that's round number 3.
Got to remember, it was a string of 8 rounds as well that Zero Tenacity were able to get from the start. I think for now, like this anti-eco, probably not going to see much come through from Zero Tenacity right there on the attack. They have to try and find weaknesses. And KC Blue finally have something in which they can really work with. A couple of shots brings 2 players really low, but is the spikes towards the A side.
Fanga with this Marshall just looking for picks. Damage already on MSH. He's walking a thin line there.
Yeah, I agree. KC, like, I was just going to bring it back to that point I was talking about earlier about like the veto and stuff like that. Like, this is a map, right? KC Blue Stars haven't lost on. When you look at it, like, you would be thinking coming into this one they'd be fairly confident. And on top of that, I think with the resurgence, right, or resurgence of double sentinel compositions, which for most coaches that I've seen speaking about it on Twitter, probably will start to dip away because of the tail nerfs. But I like this iteration that the Zero Tenacity have brought forward, bringing through a Sova rather than using a tail, right?
Yeah, it does feel a little bit more future-proof in that regard. Oh my god, what a shot from Alexic. It's Yoppa who he picks up, and it's a 3 versus 2 on the A site. You are looking at Ease and Sevilla both with guns here, and so it's a simple cleanup for them in the end, and Alexic does want to go down so he can buy a better gun in the next. That's exactly what will happen. And to just draw on what you're saying, yeah, it's their pick of Sunset up next. That's an unknown for both teams. And, I mean, the same for Icebox. So it can kind of go both ways. I think, really, as we said several times, all of the pressure, the onus is on Zero Tenacity to come up with a result in this game. Because if they lose, they're eliminated. Even if you win one here, right, and you kind of have to rely on results of other teams, of how Focus do in that game, at the very least, you're expecting to walk away with, you know, an extra Ascension point or two. As it was last time in the groups, and you know, that does go a long way as they are looking towards Ascension at the end of the road.
That's where all eyes are set, right? Ascension is what all the tier 2 organisations work towards, and for KC Blue Stars, we're going to be working towards this main spot, and we'll be looking at Pyro from Zero Tenacity to try and hold up against this, but just decides to jiggle peek. It should hopefully be able to get out of this fairly scot-free, and the timing's insane.
That's ridiculous. The drone's going to come back through, but Ease peeks behind it, and now caught in the net is Sevilla.
Oh,
cornered by players on both sides, and so Alexic is going to walk away with at least 3 kills on this round. His impact has been unwavering so far on Ascent, and into the first rifle round, the Blue Star bonus shut down. Looking like this is going to be 11. No retake on the cards.
Nah, you would doubt that would be the case. I mean, maybe there's something to work with if you can try and find Pyro. That means that, like, your full focus is on the site, but with it not being so clean and time now starting to get far too low, I think this is all but done.
And it is now 11 for Zero Tenacity, their first round of the second half. The attack half comes in the full purchase. I have to say I've been very impressed with Alexic so far this map. Now 20-6. Again, to reiterate, someone who is now making his 3rd appearance at an interregional. He was absent from the first stage with the rest of Zero Tenacity. Someone who always runs high on confidence, but if you can get him going whenever he's online, he's literally one of the best that we have in the region right now.
I have to agree, and that's always been felt like a win condition for Zero Tenacity, is Alexic shooting. And well, unfortunately, it won't be able to do so much here as that A main trap goes KC's way.
Smoke is going to be replenished. It's not the one way this time. So KC continuing to threaten the possibility of a player wine. It's a deeper clear, which Zero Tenacity would need to make. But Pretty is backing away from this. There have been 2 players waiting outside of B on tiles, MSH and Pyro, to group up and go.
Take flight.
And the fact that, for now, the defense have had no sort of problems to move them, right? I mean, that initial pressure towards A main, Zero Tenacity, for the most part, this is the first bit of pressure that they've made coming through from that main position. And KC, so resolute in their spots.
Oh, what a shot from Gurmek Delt's going to come in towards main. He gets cleaned out. That's where this one ends. Pretty playing forwards as the Sova, perhaps trying to sell that he was a solo fake, but there are numbers behind this and there is no time. Soren's already stripped back yet another, cut down to size. Only MSH survives with the spike at his feet. And E's taking his time to get back into the picture. It's a 1v1, but with knives out, no chance. KC Blue Stars can continue their defense.
They can, and keeping themselves alive as well, like in this map. Just one round at a time is all they need to focus on. I think like they've dealt with a lot of stuff there. I'm a little bit worried that they were quite heavy-handed with their use of the ult here. They use the Armageddon so that they can try and push Grimek out of A main, thinking that's possibly where the main push is. Instead get caught off guard by the B, but nice pivot all in from the defence and managed successfully, which is the key point here. Now they need to try and get themselves through 2 big ultimates that Zero Tenacity have in pocket.
The protocols have looked pretty good so far, but it's in these chaotic rounds where problems could arise. Yeah. Fanga has the op out. Alexic spotted other side of it. And as he puts the mask on, that gate crash is so far in front of the drone. It's just caught Yoppa with his pants around his ankles. And so onto the B site they'll go. Soren is netted and dead. Alexic with a huge double entry. While Ease is going to try and put KC back on course. There's still so much work to be done. The double was good, but Pretty can't push him off the pedestal. It's a 3-on-3 still.
Yes, in terms of utility, you've still got Pretty with a decent build. At the same time, though, I need to be careful of Pyro in mid, and he's done so well. Here comes the retake. But Zero Tenacity, I think, have done everything they needed to dissuade this. An operator trying to fight against 3. The timing not going Fanger's way. That should be all but done.
Oh, it's a missed tag on the drone though, so maybe half a chance, but still you'd need to work on the spike. Pyro's gonna get his second of the round. From the backstab to the front lines, Zero Tenacity, as I said at the start, when things divulge into chaos, were all over KC like a rash, and they just didn't know how to handle it.
I think that's the thing with these double sentinel compositions, right? You look at it, and for the most part, the average speed is pretty slow. Likes to default, find out exactly where the best to hit. But if you let it run downhill, there is some set exits that you can do that it becomes like an unstoppable train.
Especially when Alexic is brute forcing from the front every single time.
Yeah.
Again, leading the line and spotting through the gap. Ease is removed swiftly. Such a big gap that this opens up on A. It's forcing players to have a look. One of them is Severe. He'll drop. Yoppa at least claims one back with the ult, but look at Alexic.
Portal closed.
That's the ult on the attack side, so it's just teeing him up for another duel. Not going to win it. Another situation 3-on-3 late, and that's where Fanga finally finds results.
The spike.
Spike in the hands of MSH. Needs to get it all done now.
Double here.
Looking into both, and he's not going to win it out. So another round where KC will just about crawl through. But again, it doesn't feel like the win conditions here are all too repeatable.
No, it doesn't. But at the same time, though, round at a time, ticking away. Paco has one last go at this the timeout. I think for me, totally understandable, right? Like I think this has been a fairly frustrating map. KC Blue Stars slow to start, even after being able to watch their opponents yesterday. Surely never played Ascent, but you get an idea for how they want to play.
This is also the first tournament for KC where officially Captain Cow working with them.
Oh yeah.
Friend of ours from VCT EMEA does the stats that you see pop up on screen. I know people have been enjoying those on the Fnatic socials especially. But yeah, in terms of the value that someone like he brings to the setup, it is from that statistical perspective, the analysis perspective, the opportunity to close up that gap before we think about map number 2.
I think this is another fast take from Zero Tenacity. Look at how they're all waiting and ready to go here.
So Paranoia through the wall. Soren has managed to drop back to site, and there should be a reveal coming through here as well from Yopper after the nano. Just to help support any players peeking through, but Pyro TPs into market. Soren gets one, but it's a quick 1-for-1. Trades coming through. Fanga trying to backfill the space. It's the salvos instead that get yet another. But a Pyro on 20 points of health is still a useful one. Spike needs to be taken. This timing's absolutely everything, but Alexic's managed to steal it away, and now Pyro is on the flank.
He's been seen, he's been caught. The timing of the spike not going down has sold Pyro away. The players want to go back and re-clear, so now it's up to Alexic. Found by the drone, no utility, but he doesn't have any, so it's just all up to the rifle.
Top 4 clutch players in Northeast, everyone on Zero Tenacity except for Alexic. Could this be his moment to step into the limelight? No, it is snatched away by Ease. And so KC Blue Stars survive for 7, but how much further can Ascent possibly go? It feels like a metronome the way we've been swinging back and forth round on round. And when you're seeing stuff like this, I mean, again, it's just that chaos that they're struggling to contain.
I think the thing for me is Pyro just needs to protect the CT space, right? Just needs to hold on. I understand that he wants to go and get the advantage and get out, but you're already low, mate. Like, make yourself useful for when that spike goes down. And on top of that, you're looking at both teams' ultimates and what they have here. Dimensional Drift plus Lockdown retake should be the option for KC Blue Stars.
Oh, Pyro in the back lines. Flick 2 by Fanga. Alexic now has his ult, of course, as that A main orb has been collected, so things could be about to get funky.
I mean,
you can see this defender's setup is still catered towards short, and that is where the solo MSH resides for now.
Yeah, I mean, you could see a Dimensional Drift comboed with the Hunter's Fury, but I'm sure you'd rather keep that for probably the lockdown.
Cage triggered.
I agree with you. Zero Tenacity have been allowed access to the site here for now, though. It is the Dimensional Drift of the defenders that goes first. Fanga spotting multiple players. KC yet to flood out in heaven, though.
No, I mean, Fanga's put himself in a position where it's do or die. Like, he's got to be main space, which is great, but if he gets cleared out, this is going to be massive for Zero Tenacity.
Yeah, into A main, into Wine. Combo utility coming back through, but the mesh should stop them. The net will now as well. The sensor is in play. Zero Tenacity are still set up.
Yeah, you can see one of the players, it was Gramek, trying to swing out into main, and now finally we see the lockdown come through. And unfortunately for this, Alexic and MSH, they've got nowhere to go. Went for the lockdown, but instead they lose control of the spike. And with the money being so low, they're almost forced to save here. And KC Blue Stars find themselves in a position that if they continue on this run, which they only need to do for 4 more rounds, I mean, they can easily cut away at the economy of the attack, and now start to find themselves trampolining 2 rounds at a time.
I thought it was a very well orchestrated retake from KC, knowing the threats of the comp that you're against. MSH hasn't really saved his traps. It's more been Grumek and those sensors and that mesh as well. So just sending in Fanga early, allowing him to take up the main space as you highlighted, and then having the the signature salvos come back up later on and delaying the inevitable was a nice look.
Fake teleport.
Op still in his hands, the TP faked the first time. Just waiting to receive Zero Tenacity here, as it's a mixed investment, and that is one of the rifles gone. Repossessed by Pyro. And the rest of Zero Tenacity are grouping up here.
I mean, you could maybe send Pretty or Gramek to go and pick up that rifle if they wanted, but I mean, that just basically means this is going to be an A split, and with 3 players on the site, I mean, one of them disconnected on that short angle, but it is Fanga's op. You do worry for this take from Zero Tenacity.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the rounds where they don't have the best of guns before it's back in the saddle. Still, those two Vandals could cause so much damage, and even just baiting out the Teho ult here is already good damage for them. Pyro trying to make it that much more costly. His sidestep to the smoke is shot down. Severe here and finding the last couple of kills to add the final details. KC within striking distance now, just 3 rounds between the teams, and as I said, there's going to be ecos in there for Zero Tenacity.
100%. That's the big worrying point. The other thing that KC need to be careful of is they've just spent a load of their ultimates the past few rounds to get themselves into this position, which naturally they've spaced them pretty well, all things considered. But now they need to deal with what Zero Tenacity have to come back at them. And I'm going to be honest, there's a fair good amount of ultimates sitting there.
Here's one of them. Seen it a few times already. A good look for Alexik. He's the first player to breach the gates of B. And finding himself now in stairs, can call to the rest of the team to support him and get that spike down. Setup coming through. Zero Tenacity stacking up the layers as they batten down the hatches. It is such a difficult retake 5-on-5 for the Blue Stars to make happen.
Yeah, and let's look at the Annihilation. Let's look at the Hunter's Fury when that comes through, trying to get in. And look straight away, that tag's massive, can maybe even get more, and even gets a kill. Advantage Zero Tenacity.
And even then, look at the minimap. Look how many traps and tricks Zero Tenacity still have placed beyond the ultimates, which are continuing to pick away the Blue Stars one by one. Sucked into the black hole, the supernova falls. A flawless finish for Zero Tenacity. They will win it 13-9, their map pick of Ascent, and while it could look that much cleaner for them, I think they'll still be happy with the result considering all of the changes that were made.
Yeah, I think for me this was a very good look for Zero Tenacity, and now we start to head towards you know, a land which has been unexplored for a long time, right? We head to Sunset, and for me, like, this is going to be a total... Oh, my light's just gone off, but it's going to be a total coin flip to see who wins that one out, because at the end of the day, this is a map that's just been reintroduced to the pool.
Yeah, look, the rest of this veto, at least in terms of...
on KC before KC gets into their game against Focus.
First of all, I like you rizzing up Cairo. That's what the youngsters would say, you know? But second of all, yeah, Zero Tenacity. I do love that they actually picked this Ascent. They showed that they absolutely were prepared for this. Because at the season, at the regular season for Northeast, Zero Tenacity, they were banning this map. They couldn't... I feel like they couldn't maybe find their identity here. So they were like, okay, let's not play Ascent. It's a new map introduced back to the pool. New map and Ascent sounds weird, but introduced back to the pool, and now they have a great setup here. It seems like they had a great game plan. They were on top of that, on top of that play, and I think I have one brilliant round on showing how Zero Tenacity were actually ahead of Carmine Corp in these rounds, and it was this round 5. I think this was already brilliant showing of Zero Tenacity understanding their composition. Yeah, when you have double duels, some people would think, okay, you're gonna play side, you're gonna just hold down the fort with the traps. But no, Zero Tenacity understand that they cannot play that passive. They are starting this round with a fake. We see on the map, there's a few different things going on. Omen on A side, gonna throw that one way. Double entry on that B main, Sova deadlock. Then we have operator down in mid, and that operator position is important because what happens here on B main? Obviously, Pretty, he's gonna drone, fake that information from B main that the operator would follow up with the drone. Obviously, the enemy drone is gonna make things harder, but Alexik is still gonna capitalize off of that. Going to mid, Soren's a small little mistake showing out that gun, and perfect time shot to Alexic, then Kremek and Pretty. That duo just holding down the fort in B lobby is incredible. Not letting things go too passive, but fighting for that control in B main. And this was the devastating point that was for Karma and Corp. After this round, they had to go for a timeout. They were struggling on grasping how the game would work, and Alexic was just popping off. And I'm gonna be honest, Alexic was incredible in that match. We have stats to show. What a beautiful match for this guy. 19 years of age, almost 300 ACS. The operator was unstoppable, and incredible performance in this Ascent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what they needed, right? It's kind of what they were missing yesterday a lot of the time, was players that could just pop off randomly at any point, which you expect from somebody like Pyrol, who did get an ace in their first map against Focus, or any of that kind of thing. It just didn't really get started yesterday. Today, they came into the server with a lot of fire, a lot of power. They had something lit under them, right? And they really went for it, and it worked out. And yes, they lost some steam towards the end, and KC started to figure out the game plan, but that's a good start for them. They really do now need a more dominant second map, though. And look, I mean, we're going on to Sunset next. It's not unlikely that we will see something. I mean, we don't know what to expect. That's the whole thing, right? KC are going into this one completely fresh, and also Zero Tenacity are going into this one completely fresh. We had the opportunity to see it yesterday, but it only went 2 maps, so we don't know what to expect just yet. I'm excited though.
I'm really excited as well. I feel like the operator in the end of the Ascent became a problem there. I wonder if the Sunset is gonna be similar, because the operator was incredible for both of these sides. Sunset not too heavy for the side of the operator, but I'm interested to see what happens there.
All right, well, we will find out incredibly shortly. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back with Sunset. Alright everybody, welcome back to Valorant Challengers EMEA. We've got one map down and out of the way between Zero Tenacity here and, I can't remember, K-Corp Blue Stars, of course. I don't know why that went out of my mind completely. They just didn't show up, so I didn't remember them. I'm kidding. Carmine Core now need to answer back on Sunset, of course. And look, here's the thing, right? For Zero Tenacity, we've set this up already. They really, really need to get a dominant victory here. For Carmine Core, they just need a win. That's all they need, and then they can move on to their next game. Zero Tenacity have already played their first against Focus. They lost it with 14 rounds, the round difference between those two teams. So there's a lot to make up for there when we get to the potential of tiebreakers if Carmine Core do win against Focus after losing to Zero Tenacity. But that's not a problem for Carmine Core. All they need to think about, getting the victory here on a map that we really haven't seen from either of these teams. They've scrimmed it, sure, but we have not seen it in the live servers.
I love the comps. I thought that we set the trend yesterday that the comps are gonna be Sova, Cypher, Omen, then you slot your duelist if it's gonna be Yoru, Neon, Jet, whichever, and then you have your second initiator. But no Sova in either one of these comps, and we have a Viper. I wonder where the Viper role is gonna go in the map. We have double Tejos. I love the thinking of both of these teams that, okay, Tejo is gonna be nerfed, but we want to have the strong Tejo for this tournament still, because it is really strong. I was thinking yesterday, why aren't these people like playing Tejo in Sunset? I think it's a struggle. It's something that you really need to pick, and here we see both teams picking it up. I think it's gonna be great. Carmine Corp, they have to just warm up and come into this game.
Yeah, for Carmine Core, a win here is crucial. So now it's time to go into our second map of this series. It's Hazza and Cairo to take it away.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I think this is an interesting one for all of us. It's the first time that yourself and I, Cairo, are going to get to see Sunset in quite a while, since sort of the end of last year, I imagine. And for KC, yeah, there is pressure on them still. I think this project as a whole has always been a case of looking to the long term, focusing on their own individual improvement, and then the results coming off the back of that. But I have to say, I want to see a team performance from them here.
Yeah, I can't agree more, Hazza. I think like Fangia definitely was doing. I was starting to warm up into that last map, but at the end of the day, like it was still felt far out of reach of them, even though we got within 4 rounds. All it just took was Zero Tenacity pulling the trigger, Milan the defence. Could pull the trigger at any moment, and have done so very quickly. Soren lucky to be alive as long as they have.
It's right off the rip, damage down middle. Smoke goes up, Ease could be in for a haul on the way out here, but it's Severe instead that gets the first and may just be the only kill for now. Soren claws one back, but still they trail by a player, and Zero Tenacity are making their way over towards A just as quickly as KC could try it.
Oh, look at Pretty right now. He's totally been caught off guard, sent around the corner, trying to get information. A jump spot that's cost him his life and could potentially cost the round.
Gremek and Yorpa both opting for different utility. There's a stun available on the defender side, Tejo, and with that player spotted towards back sight, it's an opportunity to isolate them. Yoppa slipped the net, and so has Soren! Easy quad kill in the end. Those final 2 players turning their heads. And so the French second seed gets the first pistol on the board.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, after going a player down, after the initial brawl, you're thinking to yourself, is this going to be like a real issue here? We're going to see Zero Tenacity win another pistol round.